Hey everyone, Tom here. Coming to you today with not so much an update, but a really cool feature, one that we're getting a ton of requests about, and I wanted to share it with you guys today. So this is the CRM, this is our homepage, but what we're actually going to look into is actually one of the other Zoho apps that we get. So of course, BluMortgage being built on Zoho, one of the huge benefits is you get access to a ton of other really kind of productivity tools. And so when I click in that top right corner, I get access to a bunch of them here. A lot of really great ones. Won't go into all of them. The one that I'm going to talk about today, though, is this one here. It's called Flow. Really cool. So we're gonna click into it. And really kind of, you can see I was testing here. I'll just delete that. But really what Flow is, when it comes down to it, it's very similar to something like Zapier, if you guys are familiar with that. The idea is that it's designed to really kind of drag and drop, help you build connections. And again, the really cool thing is that it's included in your subscription with BluMortgage. It's all integrated together, makes it very easy if you're already using BluMortgage to build these sort of things. So what I'm going to do a sample flow that we've seen a bunch of times done up for a lot of clients already. And that's connecting Calendly to their BluMortgage CRM. Now, for some of you might know that we actually have a Calendly competitor. It's one of those tools I was looking at. If I quickly go back here, Bookings competes with Calendly. But, you know, for some people, they really like Calendly. It's in all their emails, all their signatures, their website, whatever. You want to keep using it by all means, but we still want to connect, right? We want to have that efficiency. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a brand new flow. I'm going to name it appropriately. So create client when event is created, right? That seems to make sense. I'll hit create. And then I have a couple options. So I could do it on a schedule. So it's saying, hey, I want to create a client every week. That doesn't really make sense. I could do a webhook. So, you know, when I get a response from a different app, this is more kind of codey, but that's another thing we can do. Not really applicable here. What we're going to use is the app, right? So when something happens in an application, in this case, Calendly. So I click that and you can see I get a ton of things come up. I'm just going to search for it. Calendly comes up. It is premium, but with BluMortgage, you'll have access to the premium subscription. And then you can see here what's my trigger. It's whenever an event is scheduled. And it's really that easy. Now that I'm here, I'm just going to quickly pause it. I'm going to connect my Calendly and then we'll go to the next steps. So now I have my Calendly set up. I've got the trigger there, that's fine. This is the variable name, so I'm going to refer it in future one. They'll just call it trigger, but maybe more appropriately, I'm going to call this the Calendly trigger. Let's do that, and we're going to hit done. And so now this is going to, in real time, every time an event is scheduled by an invitee, this is going to start. Great. But what's really kind of important is what happens after this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for the CRM. Because of course, BluMortgage is built on Zoho CRM. And you can see I can do a ton of things. I could add a note, a tag, a user, all these different really great things. But probably the most important thing is creating or updating a contact, really. And it is what it sounds like, right? You can see that it's just going to, in my CRM, create, or when we'll update it. And we'll talk about when we update it in just a second. So let me pause this again and get some of these parameters. So yeah, so when I come in here, you can see that on my right, I have a ton of variables. So I could have some system variables. No one really uses these too much, their current date, that sort of thing. But what's more important are the variables that come from the actual scheduled event, from the invitee. And so when I expand this, you can see I have a ton of great stuff. And so for first name, when I want to create that person, well, I'm going to want to use the invitee's first name. And then last name, I'm going to say the invitee's last name. And it's kind of these crazy kind of squiggles and that sort of thing. It's not so important as just kind of what actually gets in here when you click it. And so you can see I can do these for just about anything here of, you know, what I want to happen. I can get their email. Let me try and search for email here. Perfect, invitee email. So I'm going to go down to here to email. Perfect. Do that. And then maybe I have a phone number too. So let's see, phone. Not there, maybe mobile. Okay, not available, and that's okay. So I just have the email. And so the last thing that I'm going to do here is I'm basically going to do two things. One is I'm going to set some default parameters. So, you know, for my contact stage, maybe I always want it whenever they come in to be not contacted, and for them to always have the contact status of prospect. And that's really it. And I can hit done. And really, that's it, right? So now won't be able to demonstrate it right in real time, but exactly that's going to happen is that every time someone creates an event in my Calendly, it's going to come into here, trigger this. What's going to happen after that is it's going to go into the CRM, create a contact using the email and first name, last name based on what was in the Calendly event. I can always come back in here, and if I wanted to, add some new things or change how I kind of did it, it's all very easy to do that, right? Just kind of decide the different fields, how I want them to actually show up. A really common thing actually that I see people do is like the lead source, right? So I could actually come in here, add a custom value and say, Calendly is my lead source. So now dynamically, again, every time they come in, that lead source is going to be filled out. So a lot of fun stuff you can do with that. And then just as an expansion, maybe, again, we have a competitor, something like MailChimp, but just to kind of complete the idea of it is I could come in here and look for that tool, and I can add it as another step, right? So I can add or update a subscriber. So very similar to create or update a contact. So I won't go through it all here, but I could add that as another step like this. Like I said, I won't go through all here, but you can see now I can have these series of steps. So if you're familiar with Zapier, it's very similar to that. Benefit is it's all in the BluMortgage ecosystem. So give that a try if you have some of those chops, want to try some of these things out, try connecting the different tools that you have. If you have any questions at all, please let us know. Thanks so much for watching.